Don in London, hello. My video for March the 27th, all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, and all those mad things that used to happen in my life, or those things which made me feel mad in my life. And it's been an interesting day, but first of all, the backdrop. These videos are about recovery, and my substance of addiction was alcohol. My behaviour was equally addictive around people, places and things, being with what I thought were the right people, being in the right place and having the right things. And drink featured as a celebration or sadness or joy, or just because it was there. And it was habitual, and I became dependent and then addicted. And it's a very well trodden road, I've found, as I've come into sobriety and learned how to live one day at a time. So March 27th, probably a day of hurt feelings all round the UK for a variety of reasons to do with demonstrations. Anyway, more of that in a minute. I've got to talk about why do I do these videos and what helps me keep sober. Well, the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is the great news for me. I found it in the end, reluctantly, because who wants to go to the place where people don't do what we've been doing for a long time and we've enjoyed it, and then got stuck in a malady or an illness or an allergy. So drink for me was the keystone in my life for many a year, and these days the keystone is truth, the truth of who I am, or who I am becoming daily. Being open, honest and willing to live life as it is, rather than try and bend it and fashion it my way. To live interdependently with other people, which means that I need to take account of not only what my outlook might be, but the outlook of everyone else. So the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, has taught me that I need to take account of everyone I encounter in fellowship, and everybody I might encounter in communities and societies, because I'm no bigger, no smaller than anybody else. And that's the great news for me. I can be equal today, no matter how I may be treated. I don't have to fall into old patterns of my behaviour, which was thinking I knew I was right, I knew what the truth was, and I knew everything. Or, well, I don't know that I ever did think that, but I certainly had a very strong personal opinion on what life was all about, but absolutely no clue how to live life. We are full of contradictions when we're under the cosh of something or other, and usually, in my case, was not recognising the truth, not being so open as I thought, not being so honest about my situation as I have come to realise, and not very willing to change because I didn't know how to. So great admissions of faults in me, and only by the grace of a fellowship have I actually come to some understanding of what is possible today with a sober head. And the answer is, I have every emotion available to me depending on the experience I'm having. So when my feelings fit the experience I'm having, then I know I'm probably in the moment of now, and that's fairly spiritual in my book. Truth, reality, open, honest and willing are my spiritual principles, and they seem to work better when I know what they are, and that I'm trying to adhere to that outlook. Anyway, so what is AA? First of all, I can't speak for it, never can, never will. There are no spokespersons for AA either. Simply, it is a fellowship of like-minded individuals with a desire to stop drinking and help others stop drinking as well. That's what it's all about, but with a massive toolkit on offer to anyone who wants to keep sober and have a happy life, or a sad life, depending on what's happening in it. So AA is full of unique, authentic people who speak for themselves where they will and share their experience, strength and hope as they see fit. So the AA preamble, I will share this at the beginning of my videos, or near to the beginning, followed by a couple of readings like the Daily Reflections, and tonight as Bill sees it as well. So the AA preamble goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And why this is important to me is there is one reason for going to AA, the desire to stop drinking, and the other one is to stay stopped and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Because I have learned if I share experience, strength and hope, maybe I'm helping another person find how to be sober for themselves, not like me, but following their own program, unique and authentic to them, taking up the toolkit, if you like, and using the tools of how to live well. And it's important that I emphasise the difference, because AA is what you see is what you get around recovery, and it's not affiliated to anything. But everybody who goes to AA is affiliated or part of something else. It's called society. So we all have our views and understandings of how society is and how we want to live in it. We may not like it all the time, as has been the focus of the last couple of days in my hometown, which is London, UK, where we're having demonstrations of one sort or another. And it's very difficult to actually work out, is there a right way to approach how to demonstrate about we don't like the way things are, or is there a wrong way to demonstrate how things are, that we don't like it? And of course, over 250,000 people marched in London today, and did it peacefully, and to a large extent got ignored by the media. But what the media concentrated on were a few hundred people who ran amok in the capital and did damage. So when we look at ourselves in fellowship, we often concentrate on what is bad in us rather than what is good in us, and that's something around acceptance of who we are, the acceptance of the good parts that we have and the other parts we have which are not so nice, sometimes called defects of character. And I know my defects of character are fear, putting on a brave face, and thinking I'm right, or being driven by my ego, which suggests to me that I know better than other people, when in fact I don't. But our media will concentrate on the bad parts of what's going on anywhere in the world. And similarly, when we're trying to get sober, we tend to harness all the horrible things we've done and focus on the horrible parts, rather than actually start to get some balance. So balance takes time in any living organism, a human being, or any living society where things aren't right. And for a lot of years things have been wrong. And it's going to take more than our current government to sort it out, because they're saying they're right, and quite a lot of people are saying they're wrong. And indeed they don't have a mandate to govern, in my opinion. But the rest of the world may think they have, because they've changed the rules to suit themselves and put themselves in for 5 years. Anyway, this is how it is. This is how recovery is. We're still full of our own opinions, and at the same time we need to know what is the best way to go forwards. And the answer for me as an alcoholic in recovery is to say I can have my opinions, but if I get so wrapped up in my personal opinions I can't see the big picture. And that was what happened to me with drink. The only thing I could do, I became a processing machine for drink, and that was it. All I had was a terrible feeling of wanting to be dead and not wanting to continue. What a dreadful place to get to. But you know what? Society does this to a lot of people, in a lot of communities, and it's happening in big time around me. So I need to know if I can keep my needs met on a daily basis, spiritually, which is to find the truth of how to be sober, open, honest and willing to listen to what is going on around me, to hear everything that I can, and make good decisions about my life and what I may do with it, but not to try and control other people, their attitudes and behaviour, because it's impossible. Yet government, to an extent, is all about consensus and doing that, or worse, becoming more and more controlling over society and not letting it get on with it. So I don't know where my politics are right now, because everything seems like we're being controlled in a most unhelpful way. So I need to concentrate, lean on fellowship, keep sober, and then work out what is best for me and best for those I love around, without resorting to throwing stones at people, which is what has happened today. And in the olden days, you know, a lot of people of my generation were out on marches, seeing violence and being frightened by it and thinking, my God, what has the world come to, where people are so incensed and angry that they start fighting and being violent. Well, not much has changed. You know, mankind is still very young in its ability to be in society and to find consensus and to get on with each other. But the fellowship, somehow, we all get on together because we have a particular focus around an issue, and we leave our politics at the door. So, today has been very difficult looking at the news. At the same time, life is good, and my life is as this. My needs are met, my basic needs are met, and my wants are forgotten. Yeah, they are. All I need to do is cover my needs, learn always what is the best path, and I don't know that until I've actually talked to people about it or shared how I'm feeling. So then I start to make progress, because it's not just my outlook which counts. So we all need to listen, we all need to hear it, we all need to learn what is the truth of now. And unfortunately, that's lacking in our society. Anyway, enough of that, but you see what I mean? We have our politics, our ideas, our values, and mine are fairly straightforward. A bit of honesty would do us all a lot of good. But I find honesty in the rooms of AA, and it helps me keep on track. And when I'm going a bit off track, like I am now, then I try and do something about it. So, Daily Reflections, this book, March 27th, talking of freedom, this is what it says. AA freedoms. We trust that we really know our several freedoms, what our several freedoms truly are. That no future generation of AAs will ever feel compelled to limit them. Our AA freedoms create the soil in which genuine love can grow. And the AA freedoms, truth, love, wisdom, that's my high power. And me being open, honest and willing to keep on trying, but sometimes very trying. That comes from The Language of the Heart, which was written by Bill Wilson. It goes on to say, I craved freedom. First, freedom to drink, later, freedom from drink. The AA program of recovery rests on a foundation of free choice. There are no mandates, laws or commandments. This is it. There are no mandates, laws or commandments. AA's spiritual program, as outlined in the 12 steps, and by which I am offered even greater freedoms, is only suggested. I can take it or leave it. Sponsorship is offered, not forced. And I come and go as I will. It is these and other freedoms that allow me to recapture the dignity that was crushed by the burden of drink, and which is so clearly needed to support an enduring sobriety. And it's so transferable into society, isn't it? But all those things we have to learn on a personal level before we can even attempt to put them into practice. We have to learn what they are first, those freedoms. A spiritual program, as outlined in the 12 steps, and by which I am offered even greater freedoms, is only suggested. So the freedom is, take it or leave it. And I was a reluctant student. On my first visit, I looked at what I saw in the meeting. I didn't get there on my own steam. And I felt like leaving it, because my friends, my neighbours, people from the local gym where I attended, my mum's best friend was in the front row of the meeting. And I was quite shocked. And my mum's best friend said, well, we wondered when you were going to get here, Don. And I was bamboozled at the time. I thought to myself, this doesn't sound like freedom. It feels like everybody knows who I am and what my business is, and that whatever this anonymity might be, I don't have it. Walking into a room where all my friends and my mum's best friend and everybody else was, all the people I knew around here, I didn't realise that it was a new community which I could join, learn how to live life sober and make sense of what I can and cannot do on a daily basis. Boy, was I was buggered, actually, not in the physical sense but in my head. Yes, I wouldn't want that. It's not anyway. I may have to cut that bit out. No, I won't. And as Bill sees it, this one, daily reprieve. As it says here, we're not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. And it says, we of AA obey spiritual principles. For me, truth is the absolute basis of all spiritual principles. At first because we must, and then because we ought to, and ultimately because we love the kind of life such obedience brings. Great suffering and great love are AA's disciplinarians. We need no others. So, in a funny sort of way, it's not funny, but in fact it's deadly serious. We learn that truth is the foundation of everything, and my personal opinion is not truth. It's just my opinion. So I'm always able to keep on developing truth. Love and wisdom, how to love people without conditions, how to be loved back without conditions. And useful in the sense that I can do something which is enterprising and offers me endeavour. Not to rule the world, as I thought I ought. I think that's what we all are taught. Get to the top and you'll be alright. But the trouble is, there's not much room at the top. At the top it's a very lonely place, with only one person there. So obedience to truth, love and wisdom of others, I have found, has helped me immensely. And when it says great suffering and great love are AA's disciplinarians, we need no others. Coming out of the suffering of addiction into sobriety is a real shock to the system. It takes a while to let anything settle down. I know I was paranoid for a long time. And great love, loving people for who they are, warts and all. So for me, tolerance and love are all part of it in the toolkit. Enough of me for this video, and then parts 2, 3 are the previous years. It's difficult for me when I see fundamental truths being trampled on a daily basis in my own country, and the arrogance and ego of those who tell us they're doing it for our own good, when in fact they have no political mandate to do so until they got into power and changed the mandate so they did have a mandate to do so. And the reason why it's in me at the moment is one of my old age pensioner neighbours, who is scraping by and making do, feels betrayed, and I can jump in there with her on that. At the same time, I know it's just undermining my spiritual being, because the truth is, I can't do anything about it. I can't change society, can't make it my way, and I only have a vote in 5 years' time, or 4 years' time now. But if I went outside the rules of society, I would feel very uncomfortable. Yeah, our country is saying to a lot of people in the world, go outside the boundaries of your government and rebel. And by the way, we'll support you with air power. Very, very difficult world, and holding very different views in one's head about so many different issues can be very painful. So I need to concentrate on sobriety, family, community, society, those things where I can be a part of, contribute positively as and when the opportunity occurs, and try not to undermine anybody else. The Serenity Prayer, which helps me in these difficult times when I'm feeling my politics rising within me, And I need to keep them out of these videos really, but if sometimes they will spill over. That's nature, just the natural order of things right now. And I need to go to meetings tomorrow. I think I'll go to 3 at least. Then I'll feel more balanced about the whole thing. Not that I forget the hardship around me, but I understand why there is hardship around me and why it's hard for me too. So to God or good conscience, the serenity prayer always helps me find balance again. And that's the whole thing, whether it's to do with love, romance, work, family, you name it. Any of those areas where life can be very sticky because it just is, and full of emotions because it ought to be full of emotions. That serenity prayer helps me recalibrate me, no one else. So to God, all good conscience, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, for me, is always just for today, and often simply in the moment when it all goes out of balance. That serenity prayer is there, the can do, cannot do, and what is the wisdom to know the difference, what is possible and not possible. There we go. Recovery from addiction. Addiction to either substance or behaviour, or addiction to both substance and behaviour. I've experienced both in my life, and I'm in recovery one day at a time. My addictive substance, alcohol, could have been anything. I guess we get to where we get to. Could have been food, drink, well, anything. And behaviour, collecting, materialism, work, relationships, you name it, anything to fix that gap inside, that emptiness. Not knowing that emptiness is very useful if you put useful things into the empty gap. But for all of us, if we take things to extremes, and that is from conviviality and joyfulness derived from anything, through to dependence and then addiction where we can't stop doing something, like drinking alcohol or behaving in a very obsessive way, trying to be perfect or get to a place where we felt good again. We are all susceptible. It can happen to anyone, and it's not about self-will, trying to stop doing something. There comes a point when we go beyond, we cross a line, and we cannot stop on our own. And it took me a long time to get that moment of clarity. I was taught very ably to stand on my own 2 feet, fight my own battles, cover up, put a brave face on, and get on with it. Just get on with life, stiff upper lip stuff. And it kept me in the dark about what was going on. There's nothing worse than being ignorant of one's own situation. And I didn't know. So from ignorance to denial, when I realised there was a problem. And then denial kept me in a place where I could not get out of, self-will, run riot. Moments of clarity come and go, and we can keep on doing the same thing over and over again until we realise that maybe we do need some help to find sober, to sober in the day, one day at a time. And I'm very glad I did. It took me a long time to get there, but I guess every drink was worth it. Every obsession was worth it, in a way. Maybe I'd have been better not having to go through those experiences. But how can we find the good of life without the less good or the bad happening? And March, in the fellowship of my programme, in the literature, it's all about letting go and letting good things happen. And it took me a long time to let go the obsession of self-will. So that kept me in the dark a long time. And it seems these days, with the help of my friends in fellowship, and that fellowship is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, never do I speak for it, never can, never will, full of unique, authentic people. And one of the readings today is all about how AA helps people come and go and make good choices. But what is AA? How does it help me? And why don't I speak for it? Simply, there are no spokespersons for AA, but if I left out the story of AA in my story, I would be probably hiding an obvious truth, which is, I didn't do this on my own. So I share about AA because it's helping me on a daily basis. Just an ordinary Joe going there, with others who are the same size, each with different amounts of sobriety, each with different experiences and wisdom, and we all share it and see where we get to, hopefully just sober. That's what it's all about. Anyway, there is a statement of intent, or the AA preamble, shared at every meeting at the beginning, and it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. We give it away to keep it. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. That's it. The only requirement is a desire to stop drinking. You don't have to stop. It's a personal choice. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. In other words, if you haven't got any money, it doesn't matter. Still come along. It doesn't cost you anything, except time maybe. And if you want to get sober, you suddenly find you've got more time. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy. Neither endorses nor opposes any causes. So in other words, we keep our beliefs and our faiths and our understanding of what is good for us. But we don't bring them into fellowship. We're only there for one thing, sobriety. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So I'm hammering home the point, we are unique, authentic humans with one big similarity, a desire to stop drinking. And that keeps me on track, because if I'm not judging anybody else for who they are, what they are, and I try and do that in real life as well, or ordinary life, just being in life, try not to judge people, try not to judge their beliefs in religious beliefs, their political beliefs, their personal beliefs. I don't have to adopt them, nor do I have to endorse them, and that's the point of AA. It endorses nothing except sobriety. So it doesn't endorse me in my videos for sure, because a lot of people would say, you're breaking anonymity, and the answer is yes, I am. But because there are no rules in AA, I can break my anonymity, providing I'm not speaking for it, and I don't. I hope that's clear. But sometimes we try and impose our will on others, and it doesn't work. We end up with resentments, unable to let go of them, and let good things happen. So the whole program, or fellowship, is about letting good things happen, if they can. And the daily reflections for today, this book, which covers the 12 steps, one a month, and March, as I say, is all about letting go and letting good things happen. Some people say let go and let God, or let go and let good. And for me, God is truth, God is love, God works through people. So I look for the truth and learn it daily. I don't know the truth always. God is love, yes. God works through people, yes. Beyond that, I have no clue, and I don't need to, because we live in the day, we live in reality, and that's spiritual. Spiritual living is living reality, the truth, loving people, and sharing wisdom. So today's reading for March 27th, it says here AA freedoms, which is why I can say all those things. And other people will say different things, and that's perfectly okay too. It's their view. So it says here, for AA freedoms, March 27th, we trust that we already know what our several freedoms truly are, that no future generation... That's a very fast car. Very rich area around here, and I live in Port, my flat. That no future generation of AAs will ever feel compelled to limit them. In other words, we're not compelling anybody to limit anybody else. Our AA freedoms create the soil in which genuine love can grow. And it goes on to say, I craved freedom. First, freedom from drink. Later, freedom from drink. The AA program of recovery rests on a foundation of free choice. Absolutely free choice. There are no mandates, laws or commandments. There are no mandates, laws or commandments in AA. AA's spiritual program, as outlined in the 12 steps, and by which I am offered even greater freedoms, is only suggested. It's a suggestion. I can take it or leave it. Sponsorship is offered, not forced, and I come and go as I will, based on truth, love, and sharing wisdom. It is these and other freedoms that allow me to recapture the dignity that was crushed by the burden of drink, and which is so dearly needed to support an enduring sobriety. So the absolute of AA freedoms is there are no rules. And the traditions and the steps of the program, 12 steps and 12 traditions, simply to offer sobriety to those who have a desire to stop drinking. And this thing of letting go and letting good, and as I say, many say let go and let God, because that is how it works for them. AA works for everyone as we get our free choice back, our freedom to understand life and have a balanced outlook. And if I want a balanced outlook, how better to go to a fellowship where it's great to be unique and authentic with one similarity. That's how it works. Similarity and freedom to be ourselves. So when I share the serenity prayer to God or good conscience as is your understanding, it's your understanding which counts. God, or to good conscience, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is for me always just for today. It's all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol; my behaviour, I suppose, can be summarised as trying to be perfect at whatever I did, because I thought you wanted me to be perfect. And I suspect I wanted to be perfect too. And it took me a long time to realise that we just keep on making progress on a daily basis. So my addiction to alcohol, in recovery for some time, I go to the fellowship of AA, that's Alcoholics Anonymous, to help me make sense of the days I have. That's one day at a time, rather than speculating too far into the future about what my condition might be, or going back into my past and being stuck in it. So how am I today? Well, when we wake up, there's an inner voice going off in our heads, and it says something along the lines of, it's bright, it's sunny, it's winter, I'm okay, I'm not okay, depending on how we fared the last day or so. So there is always this inner voice which talks to us. It is our own conscience probably talking to us. And in the fellowship of AA, sometimes it's called John Barleycorn, which is the old voice which keeps on saying, I want it back the way it was. I want to be able to drink. I want to be free. And the gift these days is I realise that freedom comes from choices made in sobriety rather than choices made under the influence of something which was not letting me see the reality of now. So where am I today? More able to see what is real, in less denial, less filters about me and my life, and trying to get on as best I can. So the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is integral to my daily well-being, and I go to meetings at least once a day if I can, sometimes twice on Saturdays and Sundays, or during the week if there is an opportunity to do so. I don't speak for AA, never can, never will, but I can speak about how my recovery is going and what AA means to me. So at the beginning of every meeting, the preamble is shared for those who attend a meeting, and it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I guess the learning in that for me is if I keep myself sober, I have a better chance of making a bit of progress on a daily basis and having a bit of joy or a bit of sadness as the day offers. So, my spiritual condition has been improved by trying to find the truth of now. My emotional situation is improved because I know more about what is going on for me, and I don't try and deny whether life is joyful or sad. It's just the way life is, and there is acceptance in that. And when we start to accept life on life's terms, just as it may be today, we stop being troubled by what will people think of us, or it's our imagination, I guess, which can take us into places which just do not help if we are worried or concerned or fearful. And I guess for a long time I was very fearful of life, which drove me and made me driven to be perfect. And it didn't work. Nobody can be perfect, not even for themselves or other people. We can just be. and be a part of, and that is the gift of the fellowship. It offers inclusion, a place to find our truth and find less denials and less filters, so that when we're in the world of everybody, society, community, family, we have a better eye of what we can do and what we are able to do. And what helps me also is going the literature of AA, which I share here, the book of daily reflections. It's a page a day, and for each month it covers one of the 12 steps of action in the action program of the fellowship. And if you have addiction to either substance or behaviour which is not alcohol, you'll probably find there is a fellowship out there which may help you. And I cannot speak for them either. I can only speak as I find for me. If I were to look at my behaviour over the years, I can see plenty of examples of addictive behaviour when I wasn't drinking. It would come out some other way. And if I tried to do more than 12 steps of action by joining more fellowships, I suspect I'd end up doing 144 steps in 12 fellowships and make no progress whatsoever. So I try and concentrate on one fellowship and one set of steps at a time, as I do with one day at a time. So daily reflections for today feels very appropriate for me. It talks about AA freedoms for March 27th, and it goes like this. We trust that already we already know what our several freedoms truly are, that no future generation of AAs will ever feel compelled to limit them. Our AA freedoms create the soil in which genuine love can grow. I craved freedom, first freedom to drink, later freedom from drink. The AA program of recovery rests on a foundation of free choice. There are no mandates, laws or commandments. AA's spiritual program, as outlined in the 12 steps, and by which I am offered even greater freedoms, is only suggested. I can take it or leave it. Sponsorship is offered, not forced, and then I come and go as I will. It is these and other freedoms that allow me to recapture my dignity that was crushed by the burden of drink, and which is so dearly needed to support an enduring sobriety. And I breathe a sigh of relief when I read that, because it means that I can't tell you what to do, and you can't tell me what to do. And it's more fundamental than that. It's actually the freedom to choose our life and how to live it. And the gift is, in fellowship, we find the freedom to be ourselves, not bedeviled by an addiction to either substance or behaviour, just simply trying to make the best of what is, and what is now. And sometimes we need to have a bit of a future sense of what we need and where we're going. But overall, if we can make this one day work, being in the moment of now, we need not fear or put on a brave face or have ego driving us in some insane fashion. As Bill sees it, this book, I like it, and I think a lot of people probably feel it undermines their understanding of the law of AA, and I mean not LAW law, but the folklore, LORE, the folklore of AA, where there are traditions and suppositions which people fall into. But when you start to read the actual text and literature and the intention and the suggestions of the program, it's all about freedom to make our own minds up, simply that, and not to be kowtowing to anybody. And it says here on page 60, brain power alone, and this really applies to me as much as anybody. To the intellectually self-sufficient man or woman, many AAs can say, yes, we were like you, far too smart for our own good. We love to have people call us precocious. We used our education to blow ourselves up into prideful balloons, though we were careful to hide this from others. Secretly we felt we could float above the rest of the folks on our brain power alone. And for me that meant I actually was one step removed from what was going on. I was trying to think it through to an end which I wanted, rather than actually live what is happening. Scientific progress told us that there was nothing man couldn't do. Knowledge was all powerful. Intellect could conquer nature. Since we were brighter than most folks, so we thought, the spoils of victory would be ours for the thinking. The God of intellect displayed the God of our fathers, or the God of our spiritual and emotional understanding. But John Barleycorn, as it says here, that's the inner voice that attacks us, had other ideas. We who had won so handsomely in a walk turned into all-time losers. We saw that we had to reconsider or die. And you know what? I didn't know I was an alcoholic until I really was one. And that gift of intellect, it slowed me down. It was my intellect, my best thinking got me to AA. My best thinking kept me drinking because I thought my willpower would will over anything. And I learned that from my father, and he spent 45 years with this particular malady as well. And these days I understand the measures, if you like, emotional, spiritual, physical well-being. And that's what the programme offers, simply that. It won't solve the logic of life. It won't solve the immediate economic and financial problems or materialism, but it will help us understand where we are within all of this. So when I say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, I know I'm trying to be on the right path just for today.